Are any of the X-ray attacks in Mortal Kombat X actually survivable, or will all of them send you straight to the morgue?
Watching from the sky, a beam of light. I am electric eye.
Nice catch! That was almost bad. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Chamber of the Wraith. My name is Brian, and I hope you've been enjoying your festive Christmas, Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate season. Now, I hope you've enjoyed getting your presents and seeing your family and having some dinner and maybe, I don't know, talking about video games and stuff, because that's what this channel does. And speaking of talking about video games, you already read the title of the video, so I'm not going to really divulge too far into it. But I do want to make a couple of points absolutely 100% crystal clear. The games had to have been played in 2018. So, for instance, I did not play Hue in 2018, so Hue is not on the list. Even though Hue did make it on the list in 2017 and actually took the top spot. But, also, I would like to point out that the game's release date doesn't matter either. If I played a game on the Commodore 64 or the Amiga, two gaming computer type thingies that I didn't even know about until 2018, and I played them this year and I recorded it and I showed it on the channel, it would have actually counted. But since nothing other than the PlayStation 4 has been recorded and posted to the channel, and I really haven't played anything other than the PS4 for 2018, that's what these games are. So, hold on to your hats, ladies and gentlemen, because it's time for me to reveal to you my top 10 games that I played in 2018. Future me here to very quickly address something very fast. I played a lot of games in 2018, and I could only pick 10 of them to make my top 10. So I've got a boatload of honorable mentions for you guys, so sit tight and buckle up, because these were my honorable mentions for the top 10 games that I played in 2018. Maybe if I made this a top 20 it could have worked, but then I wouldn't have been able to actually make it a thing. So, without further ado, let's jump on into the honorable mentions.
Technically, we just copied him, but I'll take the credit. Thanks.
Mission accomplished.
Counter! Fallen!
Starting off with a surprise, number 10 goes to Tetris Effect, a very strange and unusual take on an already very popular game in Tetris. The idea is that there is actually kind of a story mode where it's supposed to take you from, quote, from the galaxy to the depths of the human soul. I am not making that up. This game kind of markets itself as a kind of just hop on and enjoy the ride kind of thing. And with all kinds of crazy visuals, the fact that you can rotate the camera, there's all kinds of things going for the Tetris Effect that make it stand out. Not even getting into the fact that this game has VR support. Now, I don't have PlayStation VR, but I would not want to play this game in VR because it would be so disorientating. Oh yeah, that would be very, very bizarre. But if you are a fan of VR, it's at least worth a shot. Just try not to get too sick. The music is always one of the best things about this game. It's fantastic, and the controller and some of the blocks kind of vibrating and pulsing with the beat of the music. That is a feeling that I will never forget. I'm also not one to advocate for illegal substances, but I'll just say this, I won't stop you from playing this game while on some sort of narcotic. Just saying. Alright, moving on to number 9. The first of 3 fighting games to make the top 10. Yeah, 3 of these games are fighting games. You know it's my favorite genre of all time. Tekken 7 is one of the first 3D fighters I've played in a long time. The last 3D fighter I played was Soul Calibur 5 back on the PS3. And since then it's all been 2D. Skullgirls, Mortal Kombat, that sort of thing. But since picking up Tekken, as this is also the first Tekken game I've ever actually played, I actually had a really good time. I got into it because Akuma from Street Fighter was in, and wasn't just a DLC guest. He was like part of the story, which kind of threw me off. But you also have guests like Geese Howard and Noctis and frickin' Negan from The Walking Dead. So if you're a fan of guest characters like me, this game has quite the variety. Not to besmirch any of Tekken's main characters, a lot of their characters are quite interesting. I particularly liked playing as the Mishimas because they seem to be kind of the main sort of bold. But come on, one of the best things about this game is the fact that you get to play as a bear and literally toss your opponents around just because. And with hype moments like that uppercut and the slow-mo effect that happens when a trade is supposed to happen that would potentially kill one of the opponents, this game knows how to build its hype. I'm actually a little sad that it's at number 9, but I guess it goes to show how much I like these other games more, that Tekken 7 is in 9th place. Speaking of which, time to move on to number 8. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Already, we're into the second fighting game of 3. BlazBlue Central Fiction is the first anime fighter I ever actually picked up. And what kept me in was some of the most kick-ass music in any fighting game ever, and a diverse cast of characters that all have some very, very interesting gimmicks. Like, Valkenheim can turn into a wolf in order to move faster and attack faster, but he can't block. Ragna can heal with certain attacks. Celica builds up, heals with her trait. And Nine the Phantom's whole deal is that she has the ability to mix and match certain attacks into spells that she can store in order to unleash devastating effects. Projectiles, traps, big damage in the form of like a super level attack. Man, Nine is probably one of my favorite fighting game characters out there just because of the crazy shit that she can do and how unique she is. And not to mention as well that some of the supers and astral finishes in this game are absolutely bonkers. Like, Makoto breaks the moon in one punch to kill her opponent. And you've got going back to Valkenheim, he turns into a werewolf and beats the shit out of you, and all sorts of crazy hype-building things. Every time I recorded an episode of BlazBlue Central Fiction, it was just a great time. I would get sucked in, and already I would lose like 15-20 minutes and want to play more, but had to stick to the commitment of just doing the episode. But I really think that if there was an anime fighter that I would play for a long period of time, it's gotta be BlazBlue Central Fiction. Now to move on to number 7.
Time for your physical.
Yep, that's definitely 3 for 3. Skullgirls takes the number 7 spot, and really, Skullgirls is the best fighting game that I have played this year, and is my second favorite fighting game overall behind Mortal Kombat. Seriously, I love Skullgirls. Not only because that, despite the relatively small 14-character roster, it fits so much complexity into it, from infinite combo breakers to all kinds of stuff. The tutorial mode in this game is bar none. Like, if you go into the tutorial mode and decide to start going through it, there is so much to this game that you could literally spend hours, if not multiple days, learning this game just from the tutorial thing, and that's before you jump into an actual fight. Now, Skullgirls is primarily played in the competitive scene as a 3v3 situation, but I personally prefer to play it 1v1. And you can play it as 2v2 as well, if that's your personal style. The possibilities with Skullgirls is endless, almost. And there's seriously so much going for it. I mean, Valentine and Eliza are among my favorites, but if you prefer defense, you've got Big Band and Parasol. You've got a lot to look forward to when you decide to pick up Skullgirls. And also, can I just say that this is amazing sprite work? Like, this is seriously some of the best sprite work I've ever seen. A lot of people would probably say some of the Street Fighter arcade games, but since I've not played those, this is the game that has the best sprite work for me. And I'm normally not an enormous fan of sprite art. So that's something that really makes me very happy whenever I play Skullgirls, among all the other reasons for there to be happy to play Skullgirls. Now it's time to move on to number 6.
Now we're ready to operate.
Of course an Arkham game would make the top 10. Are you guys crazy? But of the 3 Arkham games I played this year, Batman Arkham Knight really warmed me up to the whole thing. It took me almost 3 years to actually get around to play this game. I first played it back in 2015, but I did not like it. So I actually backed off and did not play a whole lot of Arkham Knight since. Up until 2018 when I decided, okay, it's time to buckle down and do it. And man, was I glad that we buckled down and did it, because this game is easily some of the best Arkham gameplay out there. The fights are some of the best. The character variety is obviously the best, with 7 playable characters. Actually, no, 8 playable characters, from Batman, Nightwing, and Robin to Harley Quinn, Red Hood, and Batgirl. You have a lot of variety to go from. The stealth is also really good. While, yes, the emphasis on the Batmobile is a little bit silly, it does make sense because that was supposed to be the main thing that separated this Arkham game from the rest, was access to the Batmobile. And while it was probably slightly overused, I can't help but say that Arkham Knight is probably one of the best, if not the best, DC superhero games out there, bar none. Arkham City is some seriously stiff competition, though. Time to move on to number 5. If you told me 2 years ago that a game that originally came out on the Amiga would be one of my favorite games of 2018, I would think that you were crazy. But no, Shadow of the Beast is that game. It's a 2D side-scrolling beat-em-up with some exploratory elements, and probably some of the best combat I've had in any game so far. Yes, this game came out in 2016, and yes, it's based off of an Amiga game, but I freaking love this game. From the story that is told with next to no dialogue, of revenge against Zelek and later Malatoth, to some of the power-ups and moves you get, to just such satisfying combat. Taking out a bunch of enemies, and I mean 2-3 dozen enemies without getting hit, jumping around, stabbing them, tearing them apart. It is just a bloody good time, literally. That's one of the main mechanics, is blood, and I'm a bit of a fan of gore, if you couldn't tell. So, getting this bloody good time in 2D, that's what I'm talking about. Here's hoping that a sequel finally shows up to such an epic story. Oh yeah! You knew this guy was gonna be on board. He was my most anticipated game of 2018. Even more than some of the games that are higher on this list. Seriously, number 3 and number 2. Oh man, it was a real tough struggle for the top 4. But somebody had to come in last, and unfortunately, it had to be Spyro. But know that it was a super close call. Spyro Reignited Trilogy is just a remaster, remake, whatever the hell you want to call it, of the first 3 games. Spyro the Dragon, Ripto's Rage, and Year of the Dragon. Now, I've played a lot, if not most, of the Spyro games that have been released. The original trilogy, Enter the Dragonfly, which I actually found quite enjoyable when I was a kid, but when I went back to replay it, I found how frickin' horrid it was. Oh, A Hero's Tale. The only Spyro series that I never got around playing was when Skylanders showed up, and Skylanders turned him into a side character. And quick side note, I just want to get this off my chest right now. I love the Legend of Spyro series, and I hope it gets a remaster, remake treatment as well. Please? That would be amazing. But anyway, on to what I was going to say. Holy crap, this game looks fantastic. Everything from the dragons to sparks to the enemies that you torch, it all looks so damn good. And the music, I mean, it's hard to top Stuart Copeland, but these guys came pretty damn close with their dynamic music system. Oh, it's just glory for the ears. But while the Purple Boy is probably one of my favorite classic PlayStation and gaming icons of all time, and I am super happy that he got the remaster treatment, even if it took them a year to get around to it after Crash Bandicoot. I'm not gonna lie, there was 3 other games that I ended up liking more than Spyro. Plus, I got Spyro for Christmas. It's kind of weird that I'm putting a game this high that I've only played for about 6 days, but you get the idea. Time to roll out the medal winners. Can you guess who they are? Surprising literally nobody who actually knows me, Jurassic World Evolution takes the bronze medal. This game was 15 years in the waiting for me. A dinosaur built park building simulator based in the Jurassic World universe? How come nobody's done it since back in the days of the PlayStation 2 with Jurassic Park Operation Genesis? Come to think of it, how come there hasn't been a whole lot of park builders since before this game decided to come back and surprise everybody? With fairly deep park building mechanics, now over 50 different species of dinosaur to work with, and some of the most satisfying gameplay overall, plus just watching these dinosaurs is half the fun. It's no wonder that this game is probably one of my most played of 2018, with over 300 hours between the multiple saves I have of this game. It's kind of nuts. And one other thing that I really like is the whole genetic modification thing. You can make each dinosaur unique by infusing certain genes to give the dinosaur certain properties, from certain colors, to immune response boosting, to even the ability to make the Indominus Rex camouflage. And even alter certain things like social need so that you can have multiple T-Rexes sharing the same paddock. There's just so much for me to love. I understand that park building is kind of an obtuse genre that is a little bit... Not a lot of people actually get into that, but for those who do and want a good experience, pick up this game. Seriously. This is definitely the game for you if you want to build your own Jurassic World. And really, if these are not some of the best dinosaurs you've ever seen, I would like to know what game you're playing. Bringing home the silver is God of War for the PlayStation 4. One of my favorite franchises of all time. I've owned every game and beaten every game multiple times. I even played an extended amount of time in the God of War Ascension multiplayer. That is how dedicated I am to God of War. I actually played its multiplayer when it tried it. That is not something you get to hear every day. Now, this version of God of War takes things a little bit differently. You're not exactly an unstoppable force anymore. Kratos is a little bit out of his element going against the Norse enemies, so he has to rely on Atreus. And not only that, they've altered the combat somewhat to be slower and more deliberate with less or almost no airtime now. One of the big things about the classic God of War games is the fact that you were in the air so much because you would launch enemies and do air combos. That's not really a thing. You can juggle enemies, but your feet stay firmly planted on the ground. Plus, Mimir is one of the best side characters of anything. It's no surprise that they actually got Mimir's voice actor to narrate the novelization of this game. And my god, it is amazing to listen to. This is easily one of the best games that has come out in 2018, bar none. And a Sony exclusive, no less. And for the longest time, this game would have been #1. But quite recently, there was a game that released that really kind of changes that. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is my true #1 pick for the best game I played in 2018. And now, my #1 pick for the best game in all of 2018 that I played is Spider-Man for the PlayStation 4. This game, made by one of my favorite developers of all time, Insomniac Games, is a real treat to play. One of the best story modes out of any game that I've ever played this year. Some of the most satisfying combat when, I didn't think about Arkham a whole lot. And the huge variety of suits and suit powers you have access to is ridiculous, especially since you can mix and match. I usually tend to stick to powers that are tied to the suit, so for instance I use Battle Focus with the advanced suit, but my favorite suit, the Spider Armor Mark III, gets a little extra special treatment with either Arms Race or Quips or the Spider Bro drone. It's just a fantastic time. With all the gadgets that Spider-Man has in this game, it's a truly satisfying experience to play, which makes sense because Insomniac are kind of known for stupidly crazy gadgets with Sunset Overdrive and the Ratchet & Clank series. One thing that, again, needs no emphasizing is how amazing the story is. So far, this is the only video game story that made me cry not once, but twice. Ugly cries too. It wasn't like light weeping. This was me like full on bawling multiple times in the story. It's insane. This game, seriously, bar none, is easily the best game of 2018, and I cannot wait to see what Insomniac comes up with in the sequel, cause come on, let's face it. If there isn't a sequel to Spider-Man on PS4 the next 5 years, I will be, well, amazed and shocked and absolutely surprised. Because this is just gold on their hands. Especially if the rumors about a Marvel gaming universe akin to the Marvel Cinematic Universe are true. Thank you guys for watching this video on my top 10 favorite games of 2018. What were your favorite games so far? Which of these games do you think would make your list? And do you have any opinions of my list? Whether you like it or you don't like it or what have you. Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. And feel free to stick around for more adventures in the Chamber of the Wraith. See you guys around, and as always, don't forget to be awesome.